Hi everyone, Kaye here again, ADHD coach. Wanted to talk to you briefly today about managing your ADHD. One thing that I find with my ADHD is that I am constantly managing it, constantly having to remember not necessarily specific dates and times, but remember to engage in the strategies and practices, rituals and routines, habits if you will, that keep my ADHD under control, that keep it managed, that keep it from tripping me up in ways that it did in the past. And to do that, I find it quite draining. So one of the things that I read when I was first diagnosed with ADHD, and I will find the reference for this, but the article was talking about how it takes a team to manage ADHD. It takes a team to help you with your ADHD. And I thought, well, maybe we could talk about who's in that team. So it's not easy, especially when you're diagnosed as an adult, or if you were diagnosed as a child and then weren't sort of actively managing it for a while because things were going okay, and then all of a sudden it trips you up again. It can be quite confronting and difficult to try and pull everything together and get back to managing your ADHD and managing how it plays out for you day by day. So who might be in your management team for ADHD? No-brainer, your GP. So having a GP who understands ADHD and who knows you can be invaluable. You can talk to them about how your meds are affecting you, how things are popping up, or what difficulties or challenges that you're dealing with at the time, and they can help manage that from a medical point of view. A range of specialists can also play a part, medical specialists, whether you're seeing a psychiatrist or for younger children, a paediatrician. I think some people consult a neurologist when it comes to their ADHD. Having access to people like that can also provide another level of depth and understanding and assistance with managing your ADHD, especially if you need to tweak things a little to have the management be effective, or things have changed and how you were previously managing isn't working so well anymore. It can be very valuable to talk to your GP and or specialist about what might be happening and what you might be able to do. Equally important is to find people like counsellors or a psychologist who understands ADHD, who can talk to you about the behavioural changes that you might need to make, who can talk to you about understanding your ADHD and how it might have affected you in the past and what you might be able to do to have it affect you differently in the future, or to be dealing with it differently in the future. Also to talk about your feelings. It can be quite confronting and quite disconcerting to be managing your ADHD, especially if you're trying to manage certain things or change certain things, but it's not working as well as you'd hope, or you've tried what you know and what you've done in the past isn't working anymore. What else can happen? So that can be also invaluable. I'll fly the flag for coaches. ADHD coaches can be very effective, and research shows this in helping people to manage their ADHD. And personally, I found that while the doctor, the psychiatrist, the psychologist were all exceptionally helpful with my ADHD, it was when I started consulting with an ADHD coach that I could translate that into specific actionable tasks that I could do day by day or week by week that started to make the difference. It offered me accountability, and it offered me extra knowledge about ADHD that I hadn't got elsewhere. So who else might be in your team that is helping you with your ADHD or helping you manage your ADHD? Family and friends. That one can be a double-edged sword. Some family and friends are supportive, some are not. So you need to make that distinction. If someone is not supportive and they're critical and they still think ADHD is a myth, or that it's not real, or was created by a big pharma, or one of those myths that is getting around out there, then probably won't be helpful to include them in your ADHD management team. So same with friends. Some friends, I never believed in ADHD, or they are dismissive, or they say you're using it as an excuse or whatever. Perhaps not best to include them. But we often do have friends that are supportive and open-minded and are prepared to listen and be, to help you out when needed. Who else in the community might you need to involve? There might be sources of practical help or other kinds of help in the community that may not specifically help you with ADHD, but help you with some of the issues that are caused by your ADHD. So identify who in the community or which organisations in the community might be able to help. Once you have an idea about who you might include in your ADHD management team, and I'm not for a minute suggesting that this management team meet to discuss your ADHD, but I mean people that you can call on for help, for support, for assistance, people that can offer you different perspectives and help you work through challenges and celebrate the wins that you'll have as you're navigating life with your ADHD. So some things to think about. Once you've worked out who, consider when you might involve them, how you might involve them, how you might disclose to them that you have ADHD, what is a good time, how they might be able to help. Have an idea of what's going on, how you might be received by them. So, if you're likely to get a negative response when you talk to people about ADHD, you can maybe suss them out just gently, and if it's not going well, then perhaps leave them to a later date or leave them out of your management team for now. Some people are sceptical when people in their lives disclose about ADHD, but that's not necessarily that they don't believe it. It may just be ignorance, and ignorance not in a punitive way or a I'm not saying that in a derogatory way, but ignorance just means they don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. So perhaps over time, as they're exposed to you more and other ADHD things that are happening in your life, they may become more supportive. But think about it. Think strategically. Who is going to help me and who is going to constantly remind me that they don't believe it? And choose which you might share things with and which ones you might turn to for help. Okay, everyone, that's it for me again today. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk again soon. Bye.